I found out my best friend used my name to apply for loans, wrecking my credit score. But I didn't realize the real betrayal until she forged my passport application, and that's when I turned the game against her. My name is Kelly Monroe. I'm 29, living in a small apartment on the north side of Chicago, and for the last 3 years, I've worked as a freelance accountant. My life is organized, predictable, and quiet. Maybe even too quiet. I don't have much family, and that's probably why I've always clung to my friends like lifelines. Especially Ava. Ava and I met in college, roommates by random assignment, and somehow, we just clicked. She was bubbly, chaotic, always a little reckless, while I was the grounded one, the mom friend, the one with snacks in her bag and a spare charger in every purse. After graduation, while many friendships faded, ours didn't. In fact, it got stronger. We decided to move in together again, 2 girls in the big city, chasing careers and navigating the messiness of adulthood. At first, everything was fine. Ava worked odd jobs, bartending, social media gigs, nothing stable, but she made it work. I covered the rent when she was between jobs. I didn't mind. That's what best friends do, right? When my dad passed away last year, Ava was the one who held me through the nights I couldn't stop crying. She showed up with takeout, canceled plans to stay in and watch bad reality TV with me, and for a while, I thought she was the only person I could truly count on. That belief almost destroyed me. It started small. Ava would ask to borrow my ID to get into a bar if she forgot hers. Or she'd grab the mail and say, "Oops, I accidentally opened one of yours." No big deal. She knew my social security number. I once joked she probably knew it better than I did. We shared everything. Or so I thought. 3 months ago, I applied for a new credit card to build up some travel points for an upcoming business trip. I was planning to attend an accounting conference in London, my first time out of the country. I was excited, nervous, already making lists in my head. When the rejection email came through, I assumed it was a glitch. I checked my credit report. That was the first time my heart physically dropped in my chest. There were 3 active loans under my name, one for a used car in Florida, another for a high-end laptop, and a third I couldn't even decipher. All totaled, it was over $45,000. I sat in the middle of our kitchen, the credit report trembling in my hands, cold sweat prickling my skin. I called the bank. They confirmed the loans were real. Someone had used my name, my social, my everything. I remember whispering, "How is this possible?" Ava walked in just then, holding a smoothie, music playing in her AirPods, dancing into the apartment like nothing had happened. She asked what was wrong. I told her. Her reaction was immediate: shock, horror, hugs. "Are you serious? Who would do that to you?" she said, wide-eyed. "Don't worry, we'll figure this out. I'll help you. I can call around if you need, pretend to be you or something, if it makes it easier." That moment didn't register as strange until much later. At the time, I felt grateful. Ava sat with me, helped me draft letters to the creditors, even made me tea. She was perfect. Supportive. Too supportive. The next few days blurred together. I was filing fraud claims, disputing charges, begging banks to freeze accounts. My credit score had plummeted. I couldn't even book a hotel with my own name without a problem. Then came the letter. It was a standard envelope, no return address, postmarked from New York. Inside was a copy of a passport application, my name, my birthdate, my photo, but a different address. Someone had tried to apply for a U.S. passport pretending to be me. And they'd used my stolen documents to do it. I looked at the copy, fingers trembling, and recognized the handwriting. It was Ava's. And just like that, everything snapped into place. I stared at the forged passport application, my breath caught in my throat. The handwriting wasn't an exact match, but it was close enough. I'd seen Ava's cursive 1,000 times. Grocery lists. Sticky notes on the fridge. Birthday cards. This had her rhythm. The way she curved her RS, the loops in her YS. You only notice these things when someone's been in your life for years. I didn't confront her right away. I couldn't. I needed to be sure. Instead, I started looking back, thinking about every little thing I'd overlooked, every sign I brushed off. Like the time a debt collector called our landline and asked for Ms. Monroe, and Ava picked up and said, "She's not available," then hung up like it was nothing. Or the night she came home with a brand new iPad and told me she'd won it in a raffle at work. But Ava didn't have a job then. I remember teasing her, asking, "What work?" She just laughed and said, "Manifestation, babe." The day after I received the fake passport copy, I searched her room when she went out for groceries. I hated myself for it. But I had no choice. At first, it looked normal. Makeup scattered across the vanity. A few dishes on the nightstand. Her laundry in a half-folded pile. But then I found a black file folder in the bottom drawer of her desk. Inside were papers. A lot of them. Printouts of my credit history. A copy of my birth certificate. A scan of my social security card. Old tax returns. Even a letter from my old bank in Missouri, where I opened my very first account. All in my name. All stolen. And under it all, a one-way flight itinerary to Lisbon. Under my name. I sat on her floor, silent. My hands felt like ice. I wasn't even angry yet, just stunned. Betrayal is a quiet kind of pain at first. It doesn't scream. It just hums in your bones, low and nauseating. That night, I said nothing. I went to bed early, pretending to have a migraine. Ava knocked once to offer tea, but I didn't answer. I didn't trust myself to speak without shaking. The next morning, she acted like everything was fine. Made pancakes. Asked if I wanted to go thrifting that weekend. Wore one of my sweaters. I started documenting everything. Screenshots. Photos. Copies of what I found. I uploaded it all to a secure cloud folder and emailed a copy to myself with the subject line, "If anything happens to me." The situation had gone beyond bad credit. This was identity theft. Fraud. A federal crime. And Ava wasn't just stealing my name. She was trying to be me. A week passed. I tried to act normal, but I was unraveling. My sleep became fragmented. I checked the locks twice a night. I started hiding my laptop and carrying my ID everywhere, even inside the apartment. Then, one afternoon, I received an email from the U.S. Department of State. It was an automated confirmation, appointment confirmed. In-person passport verification required. Bring original ID. I hadn't booked any appointment. But someone pretending to be me had. The date was set for the following Tuesday, 10:30 a.m., at a federal passport agency in downtown Chicago. That's when it clicked. The forged application wasn't the end. It was the beginning. Ava hadn't just tried to get a passport. She'd used all of my stolen documents to apply online, and now, the system had flagged the case for in-person identity confirmation. She was planning to go to that appointment. Pretending to be me. To walk out with a real, legal passport under my name. And then what? Fly to Portugal? Open accounts overseas? Disappear? I felt a wave of rage I couldn't contain anymore. This wasn't a prank. It wasn't a misunderstanding. She wasn't desperate or lost. She was calculated. Calm. And cruel. I knew I had one chance to stop her. Calling her out would only push her to act faster. She might vanish before I could get help. So I did the only thing that made sense. I started planning a trap. That night, I called the National Passport Information Center and spoke with a supervisor. I told them I believed someone was trying to impersonate me and that I had proof. I was transferred to a fraud unit agent who listened carefully as I laid out everything I'd discovered, every forged document, every stolen loan, every suspicious act. He was calm but direct. Do you have physical evidence? Yes, I said. Photos. Files. I can bring them. Good. Bring them in person. But don't alert the individual. We'll handle it. Then he paused. If she shows up at that appointment pretending to be you, we'll be ready. The plan was set. I printed everything. I wrote a statement. I even rehearsed it in front of my bathroom mirror, my voice trembling, my jaw clenched. But I still had to live with her for 3 more days. 3 mornings of pretending not to notice her borrowing my perfume, asking how my credit repair was going, joking about needing a fake identity to escape all this stress. Each word felt like poison. Each smile made my skin crawl. But I stayed calm. Because I knew what was coming. Tuesday was approaching. And Ava had no idea her entire scheme was about to collapse. Tuesday morning arrived like a ticking clock in my chest. I barely slept the night before. I kept checking the envelope on my nightstand, the one holding all my documentation, statements, and photo evidence. It was ready. I was ready. But fear doesn't care about preparation. It still lingers. Still whispers worst-case scenarios in your ear at 3 a.m. What if she ran? What if they didn't believe me? What if she walked out of that office with my passport? By 8 a.m., Ava was in the kitchen, humming to herself. She wore a crisp button-down shirt, her makeup light and professional, like she was going to a job interview. I knew exactly where she was heading. She poured coffee, leaned against the counter, and said, "Big plans today?" I shook my head. "Just errands." "You?" She smiled. "Maybe the same. I might go downtown." Downtown. That was her way of gloating without revealing the game. She always liked playing smarter than everyone else. "Need the car?" she asked. "No, I'm good," I said. "You can take it." She grabbed the keys, winked, and left by 8:30. 10 minutes later, I called the agent I'd spoken to the day before. His name was Agent Reynolds. He was already stationed at the Federal Passport Agency on Clark Street, along with 2 other officers from the Fraud Division. "We're in place," he said. "Bring your documents. Sit tight in the waiting area. We'll take it from there." By 9:15, I was there. The lobby was bright, filled with the buzz of printers, faint voices, and people cradling envelopes filled with personal documents. I walked to the front desk and gave them my real name. The clerk checked the screen. "Looks like you already have an appointment at 10:30? "Yes," I said, keeping my voice low. "But I'm not the one who scheduled it." The clerk blinked, confused, before discreetly nodding me toward a side area. Within minutes, Agent Reynolds appeared. Tall, early 50s, with a badge tucked just beneath his blazer. We stepped into a small back room. I handed over everything. He took it all in, photos of the stolen documents, the forged passport application, my credit report, the email confirmations, even a printed image of Ava's fake boarding pass to Lisbon. "Excellent documentation," he said. "She thinks she's walking in here to collect her identity. But she's walking into a federal trap." At 10:24 a.m., Agent Reynolds gave me a seat near the side exit, where I had a clear view of the entrance but was out of Ava's line of sight. At 10:31 a.m., she walked in. My heart started pounding. She looked calm. Focused. A manila folder in hand, a tote bag over her shoulder. She greeted the front desk and signed in using my name. My actual name. I watched as the receptionist checked her ID, glanced at the screen, and then gave a subtle nod. Ava sat down near the far wall, legs crossed, scrolling her phone. I watched her for what felt like forever. The way she tilted her head. The smug little smile at the corners of her mouth. She had no idea. At 10:42, a staffer called out my name. "Kelly Monroe?" Ava stood up, smoothed her shirt, and walked forward with confidence. Just as she reached the hallway to the processing office, 2 plainclothes officers intercepted her. Excuse me, ma'am. A moment, please. I couldn't hear the exact words, but I saw the shift in her posture. Confusion. Then tension. They asked her name again. She repeated, Kelly Monroe. That was the trigger. Agent Reynolds stepped forward and said calmly, then we'll need to take your fingerprints to confirm. Protocol. Her eyes darted around the room. She spotted me. And I will never forget the look on her face. Shock. Betrayal. Fear. She opened her mouth, maybe to run, maybe to scream. But it was too late. The officers moved quickly. One at each side, gently but firmly leading her into a side room. Ava didn't resist. She just kept looking at me, wide-eyed, mouthing something I couldn't quite make out. 10 minutes later, Agent Reynolds returned. She confessed, he said. Tried to pin it on a third party at first, but we already had enough to prove intent. She's being charged with federal identity theft, attempted passport fraud, and financial impersonation. That's a heavy stack. I didn't speak for a moment. I thought I'd feel victorious. Instead, I felt hollow. It was over. But the cost wasn't just my credit score or the fear or the legal mess. It was the loss of someone I once called family. She's being taken into custody today, he added. You'll receive a full case report. And you should speak with a lawyer, we'll refer you to one. I nodded, numb. As I left the building, the spring air hit my face like ice. I felt like I'd stepped out of a life I no longer recognized. The city buzzed around me, unaware that inside one nondescript federal office, a story of betrayal had just detonated. I took a deep breath and walked forward. The fight wasn't over. But I had just won the first real battle. The next few days were a whirlwind of paperwork, legal consultations, and raw, aching silence. Ava was officially in federal custody. Her arraignment was scheduled for the following week. The moment the news broke, I started getting texts from people we both knew, old college friends, mutuals from our building, even her sister. Everyone was shocked. Some asked if it was true. Others didn't know what to say. I didn't reply to most of them. How do you explain that the person you once trusted more than anyone had tried to become you? Agent Reynolds had been right, her charges were serious. Aggravated identity theft. Passport fraud. Wire fraud. Theft by deception. And worst of all, conspiracy to commit financial crimes across state lines. The more they dug, the uglier it got. Turns out Ava had started preparing the scheme months earlier. She'd been quietly gathering every bit of information she needed, documents, copies, account numbers, while living under the same roof. She'd taken out multiple lines of credit in my name, transferred balances between fake accounts, and even rerouted some of my mail to a P.O. box I didn't know existed. She wasn't just stealing my identity to survive. She was preparing to erase me. To live as me, overseas, under a stolen passport and a new life. They found plane tickets. Foreign bank accounts opened with forged credentials. A whole second identity, me, but not me. It wasn't just betrayal. It was a plan. Cold. Calculated. When the court date arrived, I showed up. I didn't have to. The prosecutor told me I could submit a written statement instead. But I needed to see it through. I needed her to see me. Ava looked small that day. Her hair tied back. No makeup. A baggy beige sweater over prison-issued clothes. She glanced at me once, then looked down. Her public defender read a statement. She claimed she'd been desperate, drowning in debt, abandoned by family, pushed to the edge. She asked for leniency. She said she never meant to hurt me. But the facts spoke louder. She had opportunity. She had motive. And she had time, plenty of time to stop before things went too far. When it was my turn to speak, I stood up. I didn't read from my paper. I just looked at her and said, "You didn't just steal my name. You stole my peace. My safety. You made me question every memory, every conversation, every moment of our friendship. And for what? A flight to Portugal? She wouldn't look at me. I hope someday you understand what you really took. The judge sentenced her to 5 years in federal prison with no possibility of early release. She was also ordered to pay restitution, over $70,000 in damages. That part would take years, if it ever came at all. But the justice? That came instantly. The night after the sentencing, I went home to my apartment. It was quiet. Too quiet. Her room was still sealed off by the police. But everything else reminded me of her. The couch where we used to watch shows. The kitchen where she'd made pancakes the morning she planned to steal my passport. The hallway mirror where we once tried on outfits before parties. I couldn't stay. A week later, I moved into a studio on the west side. Smaller. Older. But it was mine. No ghosts. No fake smiles hiding poison. Just me. Fixing the credit damage took months. Some accounts were recoverable. Some weren't. My name was flagged in databases I never even knew existed. I had to get a new social security number. A new bank. A new everything. But slowly, I started rebuilding. I went to therapy. I stopped blaming myself. I made a list of what I lost. Money. Security. Time. Trust. But then I made a second list of what I gained. Boundaries. Awareness. Resilience. Justice. It wasn't balanced. It never could be. But it was honest. The hardest part wasn't the money or the legal mess. It was the silence. No apology. No letter. Not even a look of regret in court. I think part of me still wanted her to say something real. Something that sounded like the Ava I used to love. But maybe that version of her never existed. Maybe I was just a mirror she needed. And once she didn't, she tried to smash it. Months passed. Life moved forward. I went to London, finally. On a real passport, with my real name. When I stood at border control and handed over my documents, I felt something strange, a mix of fear and pride. The officer glanced at my name, looked at me, and said, "Welcome." And I smiled. Because I was finally back. Some people think the worst kind of betrayal is romantic. A lover who cheats. A partner who lies. But I disagree. It's the betrayal that comes from the person you let inside your life without question, the person you trusted with the keys to your home, your secrets, your world. For me, that person was Ava. And when she broke that trust, she didn't just leave a scar, she left a silence that echoes even now. After London, I came back feeling lighter. Not because things were perfect, they weren't. I still had alerts set on every credit monitoring site. I still jumped a little when an unknown number called. But I wasn't walking around with fear clinging to my spine anymore. For the first time in a long time, I felt like myself again. I picked up new freelance clients. I moved into a brighter apartment, plants by the window, a record player humming softly most evenings. No locked doors inside. No hidden files. Just peace. I started setting boundaries, too. Small at first. Saying no without guilt. Locking up personal files. Keeping my finances private. Trust, I learned, isn't a given, it's earned. And I wouldn't hand it out like candy ever again. People still asked about Ava sometimes. I told the truth. She stole my identity. Tried to become me. Almost destroyed my life. And the reactions were always the same. Shock. Disbelief. Followed by a quiet question. Do you think she ever really cared about you? That's the one I still don't have an answer to. Maybe she did. Once. Maybe our friendship was real, before it became convenient. But the truth is, it doesn't matter anymore. She made her choice. And I made mine. Because I could have let it break me. Could have spiraled into paranoia, bitterness, isolation. But I didn't. Instead, I chose to fight back, not with rage or revenge, but with proof. With calm, steady steps. With the law. With the truth. And in doing so, I didn't just take back my name. I took back me. There's a strange clarity that comes when everything is stripped away, when the people you thought would stand beside you are the very ones trying to erase you. You realize who you are. What matters. What doesn't. You realize how strong you actually are when you've got nothing left but your story. So here's mine. I was betrayed by my best friend. I lost money, safety, time, and trust. But I didn't lose myself. I held on. And if you're listening to this because something similar happened to you, because someone you loved took everything and left you with doubt, I want you to know. You're not weak. You're not foolish. You were just kind. And kind people get burned sometimes. But we also rise. We heal. We rebuild smarter, sharper, stronger. We become the version of ourselves we were always meant to be, not because of the pain, but in spite of it. So no. I'll never forgive her. But I've already let her go. And if I ever cross her name again in some court document or bank letter, I won't flinch. Because I'm not her victim. I'm my own redemption story. And I'm still writing the next chapter. Moral. Sometimes, the people closest to you wear the best masks. But no matter how deeply they betray you, their actions don't define you, your response does. Trust wisely. Protect your name. And when the storm comes, don't run. Stand. Speak. Fight back. Because you are worth protecting. It's strange, looking back. Not just at the betrayal, or the courtroom, or the hollow apartment we once called home, but at me, the person I used to be before it all happened. I was soft. Open. Naive, maybe. But full of trust. I believed that being a good friend meant being available at all times, giving without limits, sharing every part of my life without reservation. That's what loyalty looked like to me. But loyalty without discernment is how people like Ava thrive. She didn't just walk through the door I opened, she made herself at home, helped herself to the valuables, and then tried to walk out wearing my life like it belonged to her. There's a particular kind of grief in realizing someone didn't just hurt you, they calculated it. Planned it. Smiled in your face while doing it. That's what lingers. Not the money. Not even the legal mess. It's the memory of laughing with someone over coffee, not knowing they'd already memorized your passwords. The next time I sat across from a friend and they asked, "How have you been?" I paused. Not because I didn't want to share, but because now, I measure people. I ask myself if they've earned that piece of me. It's not coldness. It's protection. Because the scariest thing isn't that someone stole my identity. It's that for a moment, I was willing to believe they wouldn't. But I don't live in that moment anymore. I live in the aftermath, stronger, quieter, more guarded but not closed. And I'm still learning. Learning how to spot the red flags I once excused. Learning that love and loyalty don't mean losing yourself to prove a point. Learning that healing is slow, but it's real, and it starts the second you stop blaming yourself for someone else's choice. People ask me now, would you ever trust again? The answer is yes. But not like before. Now, I trust with both eyes open. I trust slowly. I trust intentionally. Because trust is sacred. Because names are sacred. Because I am sacred. And no one gets to rewrite my story but me. What did you think of this story? If you were in my shoes, how would you have handled it? Let me know where you're watching from in the comments. And if you've ever had your trust shattered by someone close, type number 1. If you've come out stronger on the other side, type number 7. Don't forget to subscribe to EN True Tales so you never miss a powerful new karma story, every single day.